Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Today, the leader of the free world presided over the first full cabinet meeting of his new term. Donald Trump was there, too. After a religious invocation, the Trump administration's top yes men and yes women sat politely and waited for a chance to speak. But first, they had to hear from a man wearing a MAGA hat and a novelty T-shirt, the guy running what appears to be a flatly illegal operation to control the purse strings of everybody else in the room and the entire U.S. government, a man who is neither elected nor confirmed by the Senate.
So I'm going to ask if it's possible to have Elon get up first and talk about Doge, because it seems to be of great interest to everyone. I will say that there is a large group of people in this country that have such admiration for what we're doing.
Thank you, Mr. President. I actually just call myself a humble tech support here, because this is actually, as crazy as it sounds, that is almost a literal description of the work that the Doge team is doing.
Tell what you will about the guy. You only get comedic talent like that once a generation at the most. When you called tech support, did the world's richest man show up, get access to your checking and savings accounts, and start canceling your scheduled payments? Is that what tech support is? That's what he and his team have been doing since Trump took office and since Musk has all but moved in with him. He and his extra-governmental group, whose legal status is wildly unclear, are slashing budgets and staffs at agencies that regulate Musk's businesses, while also getting an inside look at the department that give his companies billions and billions of dollars in contracts and subsidies, millions of dollars a day flowing from the public fisc into his pocket. Yesterday, it was reported that after firing hundreds of employees at the FAA and accessing America's air safety systems, Musk approved the shipment of 4,000 of his company's Starlink internet consoles to the FAA. This is not a conflict of interest. This is just helping yourself to taxpayer money, all while freezing life-saving programs like the one that shipped U.S.-made fortified peanut butter to feed severely malnourished children on multiple continents. Just cartoonishly evil stuff. Kind of like Musk's email last week to most of the country's civil servants telling them to respond with 5 things they accomplished or face termination. While enjoying the spotlight in today's cabinet meeting, Musk defended that email with a genuinely crazy story.
What we are trying to get to the bottom of is we think there are a number of people on the government payroll who are dead, which is probably why they can't respond. And some people who are not real people, like they're literally fictional individuals that are collecting paychecks. Well, somebody's collecting paychecks on a fictional individual. So we're just literally trying to figure out, are these people real? Are they alive? And can they write an email?
Yes, Elon, millions of ghost employees are staffing the national parks, providing care to wounded veterans. Yeah. This reminds me of Elon Musk's last White House address when he told everyone there were 150-year-old people getting Social Security checks, which turned out to be totally untrue, an incompetent rookie error mistake in terms of their reading of the data. But as Musk will tell you, the so-called Department of Government Efficiency isn't perfect. They've made some oopsies along the way.
We will make mistakes. We won't be perfect. But when we make a mistake, we'll fix it very quickly. So, for example, with USAID, one of the things we accidentally canceled very briefly was Ebola, Ebola prevention. I think we all want Ebola prevention. So we restored the Ebola prevention immediately.
Oopsie, made a whoopsie, so we accidentally canceled Ebola prevention. Now, just to be clear, that's not efficiency. It's not waste, fraud, or abuse. It's incompetence. It also doesn't appear to be true the mistake was fixed. Multiple officials tell reporters today the government's initiatives to fight Ebola and other diseases have been gutted and not restored. And also, what's the deal with we? Well, we all in the rule want Ebola. You all, you, Elon, don't get to decide. But, that's just one mistake, right? It's not as if Doge highlighted a bunch of spending cuts on its website and then quietly deleted them from that website after learning they were riddled with embarrassing errors. No, wait, that did actually happen this week. They triple counted one canceled contract, geniuses. They took credit for $2 billion in savings that actually occurred under the Biden administration. And they even claimed to have cut an $8 billion with a B dollar contract that's only worth $8 million, only off by a factor of 1,000. Seriously, some of the greatest minds of our generation. They also fired top nuclear weapons safety workers, then realized that was a mistake and had trouble contacting those workers to rehire them. A mistake they managed to repeat at the Department of Agriculture, where they fired experts on bird flu amid the bird flu epidemic and scurried to restore those officials to their jobs. I think it's fair to say Musk is making a lot of mistakes. But he looks pretty unconcerned as he commands the attention of his cabinet and Donald Trump. Again, no one voted for this guy for office. No senator confirmed this guy to any post. It is just an obviously unconstitutional seizure of power. And at the same time, the Musk is holding the government in his hands, deciding, like, do we want Ebola prevention or not? The White House keeps insisting he's not the DOJ administrator. On Monday, when a judge asked Trump's lawyer who was in charge, they said, I didn't know. When reporters asked Trump's press secretary the same question yesterday, she said, I'm not going to reveal the name of that individual from this podium. And then yesterday, out of nowhere, the administration told reporters the administrator is, in fact, a former healthcare executive named Amy Gleason. And that apparently came as news to, well, Amy Gleason. She was scheduled to be on vacation in Mexico on Tuesday and told associates she was not aware ahead of time that the White House planned to make public her role. People familiar with the situation told the New York Times. Now, look, if you look at all this and think to yourself, this isn't right, this doesn't make sense, you're correct. The White House knows it too. We know who the real administrator of Doge is, the guy who coined the name Doge on the social media site he owns, the guy with the Doge gear, the guy who says he's running Doge. It's the richest man in the world who's in the White House all the time. And when I say all the time, I mean all the time. Even when you don't see Elon Musk, he is there, lurking in the background. You can catch a glimpse of him sometimes in the reflection of a mirror, like the Doge of Christmas past. The guy who spoke first at the cabinet meeting, the guy who is constitutionally barred from running for president himself as he's not a natural-born citizen, the guy who has no formal legal or constitutional authority, who is unilaterally deciding who gets fired and who gets hired, who gets cut, who gets paid, how many children in Sudan are going to starve to death. Elon Musk is in charge. You know it, I know it, everyone knows it, so does the Trump administration. They keep obfuscating in the courts and the media, hemming and hawing and stammering in an attempt to be a moving target and avoid accountability for what they are doing to our government because they know it is an unconstitutional seizure of power, that it is an insult to our democratic system.